First thing I will say is that the European Parliament will not in any way remain complacent in the face of what we've just heard, but also of what we've been documenting on the pain and suffering faced by Ukrainian victims. Andra said she's a doctor, I'm a lawyer, and I'm here not only as a president of the European Parliament, but here as a woman, a mother, and a sister. And if we look at the legislative framework, it's very clear. Geneva Convention says that women shall be especially protected against any attack, in particular against rape and forced prostitution or any form of indecent assault. The Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court classifies rape and other forms of sexual violence as both as a crime of humanity, but also a war crime. But despite this crystal clear language in international law, sexual violence, as we've just seen with Ilya's testimony, in conflict remains a vile reality. What have we done so far? When we talk about the fact that Ukrainian victims deserve justice, any impunity, it's a big word we've been using, don't implement it enough. Any impunity would mean that we would have done nothing to prevent the use of sexual violence as a weapon of war in the future. And here let me applaud Ukraine for having ratified the Istanbul Convention. Not all member states of the European Union have done that. And our push for the European Parliament is to make sure that the European Union as an entity will follow suit soon. We talk about sexual violence, but that's not only against women and girls. As we've seen, it's also against boys, it's against members of sexual minorities. That is why this year, when we awarded the Sakharov Prize, which is the highest award of the European Parliament, we awarded it to Ukraine, represented by its president, but also by civil society and everybody working for the protection of everybody who is a victim of the Russian aggression that started on the 24th of February last year. Prosecutor General, we spoke this morning about the cases that have been brought to you, but also cases that have been reported in other member states. Here, if this panel could serve and this conference could serve towards the setting up of a special tribunal in order to make sure that accountability is held. As Ilya said at the end, Ukraine is a shield for Europe, but we need to be the shield for Ukraine. Because if Ukraine is not safe, we are not safe, and if we are not safe, then Ukraine is not safe. And if that is something that can determine beyond the legislative framework that I mentioned, the financial help that we have allocated from the European Union in support of victims of sexual violence, the specialized investigation teams led by the Prosecutor General, but also the independent and the national commissions of inquiry into the violations and abuses on the ground, both taking place here but also reported in other countries. I can commit on behalf of the European Parliament that we will continue to be supportive of all initiatives, both on the collection of evidence, on their investigation of the crimes, but also, most importantly, that the aggressors that have started a war on our continent will not go unpunished. I'm the mother of 4 sons. I would like to be able to tell them, when Ukraine wins the war, that everybody will be held accountable for the crimes that they have committed and the atrocities that we have seen committed against the brave Ukrainians. Thank you. Will not in any way remain complacent in the face of what we've just heard, but it's also against boys, it's against members of sexual minorities on their investigation of the crimes, but also, most importantly, the International Criminal Court classifies rape and other forms of sexual violence as both as a crime of